Today, we're tackling something really quite fascinating. It's the huge box office success of Jurassic World Rebirth.
Yeah, it's a big one.
We've been looking at an article from the Indian Express and some other pieces and trying to figure out this contrast,
Yeah.
Massive money coming in, but the critics kind of divided.
It raises questions, doesn't it? Especially for a franchise this old, starring people like Scarlett Johansson, Shola Ali.
And Jonathan Bailey, yeah, big names. So our mission today is really to explore what drives audiences to these films, even when reviews are lukewarm. Let's maybe start with those box office numbers. They're pretty wild.
They really are. So, okay, in India, it opened on July 4th, day one, RS 9 crore net.
Right, and just for context, a crore is 10 million rupees. Net is after tax, so 90 million rupees.
Exactly. And that wasn't just good. It was actually the highest debut for any film in the Jurassic franchise ever in India.
Wow, highest ever for the franchise there. That's significant.
It is. And it didn't slow down much.
Yeah, what happened on day two?
Day two saw this incredible jump, like 44.44% growth.
Over 44% in one day.
Yeah, pulled in another RS 13 crore net. That's across all languages. So just 2 days in, it's already at RS 22 crore total in India.
22 crore in 48 hours.
Okay.
And globally.
Globally, it took off just as fast. Hit $260 million worldwide very quickly.
$260 million. Those are massive numbers right out of the gate.
Definitely striking.
So you see numbers like that, especially that huge day two jump in India, and you think, right, who is going? Why?
Exactly. What's the pull?
The article gives some interesting clues with occupancy rates on day two. English shows were running at 46.21% full.
Okay, pretty strong.
Tamil was around 40.45%, and Hindi was at 30.60%. So decent interest across languages, and apparently good footfall for both 3D and 2D.
So it wasn't just one format pulling people in. Broad appeal.
Yeah, it seems like people just wanted to see it, regardless of format, maybe regardless of early reviews.
Well, you have to remember, this is the 7th film in the Jurassic series. 7th.
Right.
This whole thing started, over 30 years ago? It's not just a movie anymore. It's an institution, almost.
A cinematic institution, yeah.
Generations have literally grown up with these dinosaurs on screen. So seeing a new one, it taps into this kind of shared cultural memory, maybe. A nostalgia.
That makes sense. It's familiar. It's that spectacle you sort of expect.
It's a known quantity, and there's a certain thrill there, a visceral reaction, perhaps, that's hard for totally new films to replicate.
Okay, but then we get to the tricky part. All this money, all this audience excitement, and yet mixed reviews worldwide.
The critical divide.
How does that work? How can a film make that much money if critics are saying, it's okay, but...
Well, the Indian Express review by Shalini Langer kind of hit on this. She pointed out quite rightly that after 30 years, the wonder of seeing dinosaurs stride across the screen has naturally worn off.
You can't recapture that initial 1993 awe, can you?
Not really. But, and this is the key part, she also said the film still manages to capture awe, at least for a while.
Ah, okay. So the spectacle still works.
It seems so. But then she added, till it decides to go on and starts repeating itself. So, the criticism seems to be more about narrative freshness, maybe.
Repetitive storytelling, perhaps. Which critics might focus on more than, say, the general audience?
Possibly. Critics are often looking for progression, for something new in the story or themes. Audiences, especially for a franchise like this, might just be there for the ride, the dinosaurs, the action, that sense of big screen escapism.
Yeah, the comfort food cinema idea. You know what you're getting.
Exactly. And maybe that's enough for a huge number of people.
So wrapping this up then, Jurassic World Rebirth seems like a perfect case study, right? It shows how a powerful legacy franchise can just keep printing money.
Even with those lukewarm reviews.
Right. The brand, the spectacle, that shared history we talked about seems to outweigh concerns about narrative originality for a lot of viewers.
It certainly looked that way.
So I guess the final thought for you listening is, what does this really tell us about what audiences want today, especially from these massive, long-running cinematic universes? Is spectacle king? And how much does that critical perspective marry when the dinosaurs roar? Something to think about.